Well, I'm going to say good morning, everybody, because the sun's coming up here. I know whatever time it is in the world for you. Welcome to your Sunday session. We are deep diving today. We have all the stat experts here. Let's just get straight into it. It is a numbers game. Let's see what we've got going on. Welcome to your Sunday session. Okay, boys, how are we going? Look, seriously, it's been Pythagoras' theorem, division to the power of going on in my head for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, all week. Numbers floating around. It's great.
Yeah, I've been dodging tornadoes here for the last half hour, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so blame Aaron. We're gonna blame him.
Yeah, blame me for being late.
No excuse, Aaron.
Yeah.
Move somewhere that doesn't have tornadoes.
Right.
Well, I mean, we're at that time of year. Like, this is when it all happens. The numbers come out. We get to see the figures of how each team's doing. We obviously are at the time of season where there's only, 7 games to go for us. So, things are getting fun times. But today, it's all about the numbers.
Yes.
All about the numbers. And what a result we had. Now, Paddy has
huge.
Paddy has some unbelievable screens here. I've got a couple of bits and pieces. Aaron's been doing deep dives. So, I mean, well, why don't we just start with it, Paddy? We did $26.725 million in turnover this last financial year.
Huge.
Yeah.
Bigger than everybody. And bigger than half the championship. Not to bury the lead on that one, but we've discussed this generally all week, so everybody knows they're big. But we are going to go deep today, deep into how big they are.
Yeah. So where do we want to start? I mean, Paddy, actually, do you want to start with my graphic? We'll get that out of the way just with the last 3 years. And that way it'll give people an idea, because there were so many naysayers saying, oh, they're going to ruin the club. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And for whatever reason, people got really scared about that. But this is what we have here, guys, is the very left-hand column is our first year in the National League when we failed to go up, when we did $5.972 million in turnover on the top line there. Then in the National League, when we went up, we did $10.478 million. And then in League Two last year, $26.725 million, which is really interesting. And it shows the profit and loss line below that of we lost nearly $3 million the first year, lost nearly just over $5 million 2 years ago, and then a loss of $2.729 million, which is interesting. Then we start to get into the fun stuff. I mean, our income and retail went from 1.3 million to 3.43 million to 4.45 million, which is, retail's not massive yet, but it's coming, I think. Sponsorship and advertising, that's a really interesting one. $1 million in sponsorship to $1.9 million in sponsorship. I'm rounding numbers here, guys, just not exact. To $13.2 million worth of sponsorship. Companies like United, like Stoke, all these different, all the boys companies, Four Walls Whiskey, Avatar Gin, Wrexham Lager, which they've now taken over, which wouldn't be in these numbers, that big one. So what you got to remember is these numbers are not the year that we're doing now; they are the previous year. So what's happening right now, we don't really know yet.
Yeah.
Bigger is the simple answer. These numbers are going to go up significantly again. The guess is how much more.
Yeah,
how much more.
And the really good one for any naysayers is the bottom line, which is debts, which is in the first year, 3.7 million owed to Robin Ryan. Next year, 9 million owed to Robin Ryan. As of today, 0 owed to Robin Ryan. Debts have been paid back, which was a total of $15 million that was paid back just at that point in time, so everybody knows.
Now, on the debts being paid back, the one thing that I did hear, and there's been some confusion on this. So I actually think when our numbers come out tomorrow, that it'll still show debt to Rob and Ryan, because I think our debts got cleared after they've been cleared since the end of that period
correct.
for the money. So
Yeah.
probably when the Allen family came in, the debts got cleared. So, but I think they wanted to make sure that was put out there ahead of time. So when everybody sees the debt, like, wait a minute, and then
of $15 million.
yeah, it's already been paid off. So
I've been tracking this down because I kind of fell for the numbers when I first heard them, and my brain was jumping to, oh, we are incredibly rich and all of this. But yes, that was a little bit of PR spin. So exactly what we are expecting to come out is at the end of the financial period, the loans due to Rob and Ryan should have been in the region of 11 million. And that's what we will likely see on the results when they come out, a debt of 11 million. They were then paid in the following accounting period, which obviously isn't out or coming out yet, which is with the Allen family. By the time Rob and Ryan were paid their loans back, the loan had reached roughly 14 point something million, almost 15 maybe, by the time they were paid back. So that's what we'll be expecting in next year's accounts, showing that. The reason people are aware of this is that it was added as an additional note that they often do with accounts, important information that they wish to release early to show something relevant on the accounts at the moment. And that is where this note came in. It specified that all debts have been now cleared, and it stated that they were at 14 point something million when they were cleared as well. So that's what will be shown totally next year. Now, the other question that people and the trap people fell into, like me originally, was expecting that the money had been paid back through the revenues and cash flow of Wrexham. And it's not the case, or it doesn't. Okay. It's been paid back because of the Allens. The Allens invested their money. That money was used to pay back the loan. But in reality, it doesn't matter where the money came from, because you could use up all your cash flow in Wrexham in order to pay them off, and then the money came in from the Allens, and now that money is sitting around as cash flow in Wrexham. Makes no difference whatsoever. It all comes from the same pool. How exactly it's allocated is simply an accounting matter. But essentially, the money has come from the Allens and cleared it off. And that is a good thing, because the debts preferably need to go. And the other thing that was mentioned is that the reason that was done is, A, to get rid of the standard interest that was being paid to Rob and Ryan, but it was also to clear the debts in order to get better loan facilities for the CapEx projects like the COP. It's more expensive to get loan debt if there's already loans issued to the owners of the company. Apparently banks don't like it. And in that case, maybe they're ending up second in the queue, which is why they charge more interest. So it's all good and it's all good.
Paddy, with the banks, you have to go to second tier lenders as opposed to first tier lenders. Their interest rates go from, well, in Australia, would go from, say, 8% for a commercial type loan to 12.5%. So I'm not too sure what the percentage rates are in the UK, but that's what happens with the first and second tier lenders. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so Rob and Ryan have gotten every penny back that they have loaned towards towards Wrexham to get us where we are. They took in new investors who now value the company at higher than when they bought it, because we have improved and we are in much greater financial shape. So the loans are done, and Wrexham does not have them on their back anymore. So they're gone. Right. New loans will eventually come in for capital expenditure like the COP and other things. But for the time being, the company, Wrexham, is debt-free.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. No. Well, I mean, look, let's keep moving into it, because there's lots more fun stuff to come. Paddy, why don't you get into some of the tables that you've done up for us, and Aaron and I pick them apart. We watch Aaron in Tornado World. Well, not pick them apart because there's nothing to pick apart. The facts are the facts. This is the best part about this.
Right, so we'll talk about the sponsorship figures, which is a huge part of the income. And before we actually hit the sponsorship numbers, this is something that came across my notice very recently that had been missed or nobody had sent me, which is Stoke Cold Brew. And they have been a sponsor now for 2 years, basically, with us. And how well were they doing? So this is really interesting to see. I need to bring that up here so I can see it. Sorry, guys, one sec.
You're right. Yeah. So while Paddy's bringing that up so he can read that, just remember, this is what every single company looks at when they're sponsoring. They just don't do it out of the goodness of their own heart. There's got to be a return for their money. So as Paddy gets into this, just think of this from their side of things and what it means for them in terms of growth for them as a company.
Okay, so I'm reading this from what you can see on the screen there. The results: record-breaking growth and brand awareness. Stoke's partnership with Wrexham AFC delivered phenomenal results. $5 million US in incremental sales and doubled household penetration within the first 3 months. Category-leading growth plus 11%, plus 26% in dollar sales and plus 17% on volume sales, while their competitors struggled. 14 plus billion impressions across digital, social, and earned media. Unprecedented Instagram engagement, 92% of annual follower growth target achieved in just 1 day. 826,000 plus impressions above benchmarks, and 2,794% increase in reach rate. 365 pieces of earned media coverage across major outlets like ESPN, Associated Press, People Magazine, Adweek, and The Athletic. 99% positive/neutral sentiment in earned media, reinforcing Stoke's status as a culturally relevant buzzword brand. Now, that obviously is a lot of marketing speak there, but generally means that they got absolutely ridiculous return on their investment because they didn't pay that much, actually, to come and join us. So what were the figures for our brands this year? Was it 11 million?
It's 13, I believe.
That 13.1 million, 13.2 nearly. And just remember, that was last year. That was in League Two.
So that's in League Two. And we have to say United are the biggest sponsor. Stoke Cold Brew basically likely only paid a couple of million.
Tops. You got to remember HP. Yeah. HP comes in probably. Oh, well, actually, no. They got naming rights on a stand, so they might be the second highest sponsor, but HP may be above them.
Yeah, but either way, we're only talking a couple of million here, and the brand recognition of Wrexham and the media attention of Wrexham, the adverts that we all know that they brought out early when they first bought the club, and then they had the Super Bowl advert as well, which isn't in the list there, but was huge numbers for them as well. If I remember correctly, they were listed in the top 12 Super Bowl adverts for that year that they did it. And that was the one where you had Anthony Hopkins dress up as Rex the Dragon. And that was for a regional ad. It wasn't for a total ad that went out nationwide or globally or whatever. So the fact that they made that list was kind of ridiculous in itself, that they were deemed in like the top 12. So the reach that they got for that was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And we love to see it. Look, everybody can grow together. They came in early with TikTok and gave the early influx of cash that we needed. And let's see if they remain with us. Let's see the value that they're still able to generate from it. And will someone outbid them? Are they happy to pay the extra money? Time will tell.
And this is exactly what, Michael Williamson did an interview. I can't remember where it was, but he had given an interview and he basically said we had so many brands trying to use us and to be part of the Wrexham, and this is exactly why. Stoke proves that like it was an unbelievable success, and so now you've got huge brands tripping over themselves to try to get involved. So, which is only good for us. That means the money's just going to get higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. And some of our current sponsors may go from being like a tier 2 sponsor to being a tier 3 sponsor. Like you get some of the local companies, someone mentioned it in the chat. Don't forget to mention I4 Williams, the trailer company. 5 years ago, they were a major sponsor. Like they were the jersey sponsor, where United is. So those things change over time. So yeah, I mean, the reach, all the social media numbers that you were quoting there, Paddy, it's interesting because we do social media ads on every single property that we sell. So we see all those sorts of numbers in terms of reach and impressions and all that sort of stuff. And those numbers blow my mind. Like, they are insanely big numbers.
And just to give a shout out to I4 Williams there, when Ryan came in, he did an advert for I4 Williams. So when he came and everything was starting, he was willing to leverage his name for everybody, for all the small people who were donating sponsorship money and helping the club out. It didn't matter their size. They were doing it for everybody and not getting a big head right from day one. But then they had started leveraging their name and Wrexham and everything else, and welcome to Wrexham once it became popular, to get us bigger and bigger names. And United are the front of shirt sponsor, which is huge. They should be nowhere near us. Let's be honest about that. A tier 2 club, which we were when they first joined. That's the first year that they were with us. Talking of other sponsors, and now we've mentioned United, that was a 2-year contract, 2-year deal. So we are still waiting for the announcement of our kit sponsor for next year, which we expect to change from Macron to somebody international. And then United on the front of shirt. They need to re-up their contract as well. Maybe it's done and just hasn't been announced. Maybe they'll stay with us. Maybe they won't. So let's see how that goes.
Well, I mean, I know you had a really fun idea, Paddy. We won't let that cat out of the bag, but I mean, you're looking at companies like Nike.
We can.
It's like,
Okay. So before we hit that point, new kit manufacturer. Who are the obvious targets?
Well,
now this was done last September, most likely. Early last year, this would have been signed and done. But who are the options for people in case they don't know?
So Nike, Adidas, those are probably the 2 biggest. Is there anybody else that you could think? I mean, Macron is obviously going to want to be part of it, but it sounds like they're not going to be.
Yeah.
So
could be Puma, maybe.
Puma,
Reebok's trying to get back into the sporting world a little bit heavier, but I don't think they'll come to the party. But I think like the first 2 that we've mentioned are the obvious choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they did say that they want to be able to have kits in the different regions. So have a warehouse in America, warehouse in the UK, warehouse in Europe, so that they can make a smoother flow of them. And of course, if you have someone like Nike, they may have certain shops that they wish to put produce in as well.
Polymath, yes, you're right. Under Armour. Interesting. Rob, I know, ordered kits, and that was one of the reasons why they're looking for that global reach, because it took so long for him to get the kits. I know for me, it took personally, I think, 3 weeks for the kits to reach me. It's
crazy.
Like I can walk into a shop there here, like 5 mile away, 10 kilometers away, whatever you want to call it, and buy a Liverpool kit tomorrow. And that's what we want for Wrexham.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said last year as well, it's crazy that they're not doing pre-purchases, because I don't believe I'm the only person out there who would actively buy the shirt before it's even the design is released. You could do a members only scenario where you will get the shirts to you basically within the first 2 or 3 days of launch date announcement, guaranteed. You know, and people would pay you and give that money early, even if they're going to wait 6 weeks or 8 weeks before the actual launch day. Guarantee you, people would do it, and they don't seem to be putting in that, but it's not under their control completely, and companies maybe aren't used to doing it. So maybe it'll all change with someone like Nike, who can just handle it because Macron can't.
Aaron, that's pretty much a guarantee, isn't it? Switching from Macron.
Yes, I don't think there's any chance we're going to stay with Macron. I think the boys. I believe it was Rob that had ordered some stuff and couldn't get it and was irate and couldn't believe. So this is being driven from the top. They're going to want a prime distributor in all over the world. I could see us. We're definitely going to make a change.
Yeah. So just to answer that question there, in case some people still aren't clear enough, the deal we have with Macron ends this season, and there has been no announcement that we are staying with Macron. And the CEO and other high-level members of Wrexham have basically said we are changing from Macron without actually saying we're changing from Macron. What they keep saying is we need someone with international presence, which basically means Macron don't have enough international reach. So the contract is being renewed for next year. Obviously, this is already done, but they can't, I'm assuming, announce it very easily. And they'll want to sell off the rest of the stock they have before they announce the new manufacturer. All this, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, and there's that comment there from Rob, but then this one is really interesting. That happened last year with obviously the Rex Coast tour. They turned up, no one could buy any kit.
No one could buy any kit. That's stupid.
Tens of thousands of people across all of those games. That was guaranteed. They would have sold 10,000 kits, guaranteed.
Yeah, they would have sold a ton. They've got to get that figured out. They got to have better merch on that tour. There's so many people show up looking for stuff. I didn't go to the Rex Coast tour last season. We went to the one before, so we actually went to Philadelphia, which was the last game of the American tour the season before, and there was like nothing you could get. I mean, you couldn't get anything. And it was like, I mean, there was a few things, but a lot of it there was a lot of Stoke stuff and a lot of some of the brands of some of the sponsors, but there wasn't like some really good, like I got a Wrexham hat, like the flat bill hat that Rob wears. I could get that. You could get that, but there just wasn't a lot. And they could have made so much more money if they had proper merch on that tour. So I can't imagine that'll stay the same. They surely they're going to see that and say we can do better.
Yeah, this is a good point there from Patrick, just to hit on it. I would buy multiple if I could buy specific player kits. Other teams, including Peterborough, do kits for players. They will name them with your favorite player, and they will put a number on there, be it the player's number or some other number you wish. We don't do it. It's not a service that's offered at this time, which is a pain, because it's very high income generation, because Peterborough were charging £15 to print the numbers on the back of the jerseys.
How many Paul Mullen kits would we have sold?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is an interesting one if we change supplier, and if they are running from multiple different distribution centers and stuff, will they have the numbers and the kits and players available for specialist printing? I would hope so.
Yeah,
I really would hope so.
When you get up into teams, I mean, I think a lot of the League One teams, but most of the championship teams, all the Premier League teams, when you go to buy a kit from them, you got the option, and you can put any name on it, any number, whatever, and you've got to pay a little extra for it. But what we've had to do, what a lot of Wrexham fans have done, I did it for the kids. We'd buy the kit from the team, then we would have to go to one of these, offhand, stores and buy number kits. They'd sell number kits, which it was fine, but then you had to iron it on yourself, and it was, and there was a few places you could send your shirt to I was going to be a pain in the butt. I was going to send my shirt back across the pond to England to have it to have numbers put on it when I just I could iron them on myself. But it was a real pain in the hind end, and they could make so much more money if they just did that.
It would cost you 3 times as much by the time you owned it, sending it back.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was like, I'm not doing all that.
Part of the problem with that, were they offering the correct numbering with the EFL logos?
Yes, they
were. Okay.
There were some that you have to watch that. Some of them did, some of them didn't. So you had to make sure there was a few good ones that had the right ones, and there's a few that didn't. So
I'm guessing then that's a sneaky club who have the full access to the correct lettering and are just trying to scoop some extra money by doing it for other teams' kits, which is fair enough.
Not sure.
If I was really that bothered, you can go to other superstores for different clubs and ask them to number your jerseys. Yeah. They do it in the store. So I'm sure some of them would put numbers on for you as long as it was an official shirt.
Right.
But some of those stores will actually refuse to do your shirt if it's a fake.
Yeah.
So there was a big story about that recently as well.
I think it was Sheffield Wednesday, I believe, made a big deal about fake.
We did talk about
fake
it.
kits.
Yeah. Yes.
This I think it was over the winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, that's becoming more and more of a problem because you get some of these Chinese. That's the thing. You get some of these Chinese manufacturers that will sell a Paul Mullen kit, but it's a knockoff kit. It's not right, but it's cheaper, and people are like, "Well, I can get a Paul Mullen kit." And so I think the teams are just undercutting themselves by not offering that service.
Yeah. And Geraint there did say that it is happening next year, so maybe he has some insider information that hasn't been actively announced officially yet. Everybody's expecting it to be done, but if he's correct, he is basically saying it is done and will happen. So that's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't imagine we'll have the same. Well, I don't think we'll have Macron.
Yeah,
I think.
Seeing as it was mentioned, then do we want to move on to the Rex Coast tour just for a minute?
Sure.
And just cover that. So as far as I can see in the numbers, there is no specific mention of any income/cost associated with the Rex Coast tour. And this would be the first tour, of course, that is part of this accounting period. So the women weren't over there for that one. And it's wrapped up in the figures somewhere, but there's no specific numbers as to what it cost or what it generated. But by all accounts, it is deemed positive. Well, because again, some sponsors are involved in that as well. So whether it's wrapped up in the sponsorship, it may very well be that that basically they got sponsors and then the sponsors got the money from tickets and other stuff. That could be the way it ended up working, or however they did the deal.
Flights for a start, Paddy. That's
flights with United, stuff like that. Yeah.
So Scott's bringing up a point here. In fairness, Peterborough would have one person printing the names, and that wouldn't be a problem. We did that as a fans run club ourselves, but due to the numbers that you're talking about, we would need more staff. That's a fair point. But now this is where we need to talk about, because of the exposure of Wrexham, Peterborough can do that as a League One club, because you're right. They're not going to get as many. They're not going to sell near as many shirts as we are. But because we know that we are going to sell so many shirts, I would not be surprised to see us get a deal made more like what a Premier League club does. So let's say Arsenal, they make their deal with whoever. I don't know who makes their shirt. Whoever makes their kit, they will make a deal with that kit manufacturer. Okay, and they'll say, okay, we will give you X amount, whatever it is. And I think, Patty, we actually talked about this the other day. We'd looked at some of the numbers. They gave them a certain amount of millions of dollars to say, okay, this is what we will give you to do all your shirts. Okay. And so Arsenal says, yeah, we'll take that X amount of number. We know what we're getting. Doesn't matter. Then that kit manufacturer takes complete control over the sales of those shirts, and whatever they sell, hopefully, for them, they're thinking we can sell more than that and we can make money off of this, but we're guaranteeing the club this much money.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of deal that we should be looking at. So yes, we wouldn't have to do that in-house. It would be the kit manufacturer that is taking care of all of that.
And the other thing to that point, Aaron, the kits are being sold so much globally, not just in the UK.
Right.
So, I mean, having the manufacturer do it solves the problem of so much shipping because they're coming from the factory to the countries, done, ready to go.
Right. Yep. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, let's move on to Paddy. Let's get on to a couple of these graphs. Let's get on to next. I think you had some stuff there with the different leagues and whatever else. So let's move forward into that, I think.
Okay. So
as you see, Pat, if for those of you that don't know, up above Paddy, he's got like a minority report screen, and everything's going on up there. So when you look at Paddy, think Tom Cruise, and just imagine this all happening, and he's moving stuff over here. Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to hit is wages, basically. And this season, in our report, it states that we have paid 11 million in wages. And people obviously are...
That's a League 2 season. Or are you talking about...
No, League 2. We're back to the accounts again for the moment. So, right. So the accounts have showed 11 million for wages. Now, part of the reason that we have showed a loss of 2 million... Yes, you do, Welsh Techie.
Come on, Welsh Techie.
Tom Cruise.
No, it's more Ryan Gosling, but yeah, you still take it.
I don't care either.
Yeah, still take it.
My wife can close her eyes and pretend I'm whoever she wants. Okay, moving away from my life. Right, so wages are 11 million. But the question is always, how much are we spending on the first team? This year, we have shown a loss of 2 million. And people are asking, well, if we're making so much money, how are we still losing money? Well, because we're investing everywhere. But we have 26.7 in revenue. We have 11 million in wages going out, which is one of the biggest ones. Now, I went back and had a look at the estimates for the first team cost for that season. And Capology are saying that it is roughly 5.9 million on the first team, or not the first team, the squad of players that we have in total. And that sounds about reasonable to me, looking at it, because also included in that figure is everybody's wages, the CEO's wages, the part-time gardeners, the full gardeners, the stewards, anybody who is getting paid by the club is all in there. And as a total, we have 255 staff now on the books, as they have recorded in the accounts. Some big elements on that increased the wages for that season were reported to be the ladies team. That went as part-time. So the entire team were now incurring payments for wages as well. Obviously not huge.
Which is fantastic.
Which is fantastic, absolutely. The sooner we can get them full-time, the better. So that's a boost to the wages that is just going to flow along and is not going to increase much year on year. A little bit, obviously it'll grow, but not as much now that it has started to be included. Also, another thing that was mentioned in the accounts for big expense is roughly 800 million in bonuses. So this was bonuses paid to players for getting promotion into League 2.
I'll just quickly correct you there so people don't go nuts. 800,000, not 800 million.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 800,000. Okay, 800,000. So obviously, that was accounted for. They knew that was going to happen if we got promoted, which we wanted. So like that's a significant chunk there. That's nearly $1 million out of the 11 million in total that's in there. Then there's generally been an increase in staff everywhere. There has been new staff for the ladies. There's been new staff for the juniors and all the trainees. They have majorly invested there. So there's new staff everywhere, the academy side, the whole lot. But the good thing about this moving forward, because we're going to have to guess on some figures moving forward, is that most of this is not going to hugely increase year on year. So it's there, it's happened, and it's not going to get much bigger as it goes. Some new staff everywhere. Yeah, the academy have their staff now. So, okay, we go up another year, we want to make things better, we might add an extra 5 staff, an extra 8 staff. It's not going to be a huge number of staff again, as we're starting to continue to grow. More office staff, more marketing staff, it'll all be at a smooth, slow increase. So the idea would be...
Let's hope it's massive, Paddy.
Expenses going to wages against us.
Yeah, because we've gone up to the Prem next year. Like, we go to Championship next year,
Okay.
Prem the year after.
Yeah, so the idea then, I guess, is for this season, when we're looking at an increase in wage, a lot of that will likely be going into the squad wage, because that is something that does jump as you go up through the leagues. You swap out players, you bring in new players who are twice as expensive sometimes as the players that have been released. So that is where a lot of the growth is going to come.
Well, and that was talked about too on the Fozcast, where Humphrey was on the Fozcast the other day, and said that they had looked at it, and if they do go up, they think to stay up comfortable, to get comfortable in the championship, they're going to have to quadruple our squad wages. That's just on the squad. So yeah, that money's going to go up a lot.
Do I be the Debbie Downer and say, what happens if we don't go up?
Don't do that.
If we don't, I'll say it right. I will say it. I've said it, and I'll say it right here in front of everybody. If we don't go up, and now that I've seen the money, I fully expect a Birmingham next season.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
We will expect a Birmingham.
Yeah. We will be building a championship squad if we don't go up this season.
Absolutely.
And a stadium.
Not at all.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to convert the wages into squad wages is because of the graphic I'm going to bring up. So we're going to have a little look through this. And what I've done is I've pulled up some graphics for the championship, for League One and League Two this season, just to give an idea of where our squad cost of 6 million is in comparison to all the leagues. So these are League Two numbers and what we're spending versus other teams. Okay, now, so this is League Two. Gotta move it so I can see it better. 1 second. Okay, so this is League Two, and the line I have put on it is at 3 million. Okay, so the highest this year in League Two is roughly 5.5 million spent on their squad, according to Capology. So we in League Two spent more than everybody in League Two this year on their wages, approximately. Now, if we move through to League One teams, this is 6 million. Drawn a line here, so that would be more than the bottom 12 teams. And then as you move up to the top 12, which are on top, you got 1, 2, 3, 4
with two teams outspending us, Paddy.
Mm-hmm.
With two teams outspending us.
What do you mean? Which two?
At the top, like Birmingham and Huddersfield there. When you look at that top graph. Is that what you're talking about there?
No, okay. I'm still comparing our League Two figures at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
Before we project forward. So this is just this year's figures, just to keep it easy. I didn't want to go back 3 years to figure them out for the old teams. Yeah. So what we were spending in League Two on our wages would compare this year to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about the 8th highest in League One. Mm-hmm. So we spent a lot in League Two as well. So I'm going to be fair and I'm going to say it. Those that say we are kind of spending our way through the leagues is correct.
100%.
They are correct. We're spending it. But the caveat to that is we are not just spending the owner's money. We're not just throwing all this cash in here. This is basically being spent from revenues that are coming in with smallish losses that have now been completely cleared. So it's not ridiculous spending by the owners. We are actually doing this with revenue.
We're earning it.
Yeah, and as soon as we stop for a year and remain in the same league, then the revenue catches up to our spending. Whereas at the moment, every season, all our expenditure goes up even higher because we're in a new league and we need to improve everybody again, infrastructure, staff, the whole lot. So we're chasing our own tail a little bit and spending money we know we're paying it forward. There you go.
Forward
is the way to say it. Paying it forward. And then just a quick look at Championship, which is this one. Everybody up there is paying more. So this line is 15 million. Okay. And the lowest is 10. Just slightly under 10, maybe 9 million. But again, that's last year. So I'm going to take this down for the moment. And we can go back to it again in a minute once we come up to the New Year's. So that's just from the accounts. We were spending a lot. We will spend a lot again, but our revenues are allowing us to do so, which is great.
Yep. Yeah. So actually, Esteban has nearly nailed that right on the head. Like Rob and Ryan not only want the club to succeed, but they're thinking of it as a business. So they are spending responsibly. Yes, they are paying it forward, like we just mentioned, but there's a strategic plan here, because what you got to remember is when they first invested in this in Wrexham, it was £2 million. Now, what would you just as a quick one, what do you think would be the current value of Wrexham? At a guess, because it's hypothetical.
The rough number that came up recently was 100 million. That was put out there in the paper stating that the club is worth 100 million.
Yeah,
I would say
Forbes, I believe Forbes magazine came out with that number.
I guess it really comes down to what sort of deal you do, because you take Rob and Ryan away, the club's not going to be worth as much. We know that. So
any championship level club, I think quite comfortably you could say once, especially once that stand's been built, which it isn't yet. So even without the stand being built right now, we're definitely a $40 million club.
Yeah.
Bought it for $2 million, now worth $40 million. They aren't some bad apples.
They're not, but in fairness, you wouldn't be talking about selling the club until we have stabilized somewhere, which would probably be middle of the championship with more stable revenues. Yeah. And then we can have realistic figure. But
Rob is not selling this company. He's way too much of a passionate sports fanatic. He wants to take this club the whole way.
Absolutely.
The whole line. He's going to the end zone in an NFL sort of term. He wants the Premier League. He wants the Champions League. He wants the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. So I think if we hold off on that just a little bit, we'll try and finish the accounts we have, and then we'll start speculating like crazy, and we can pull those graphs back up again and show what we would need in the future as well, and kind of compare everything together. If that's cool, guys. Okay, so we have covered sponsorship, retail income. Okay, there we go. I know we mentioned in general the shirts and stuff like that. So the retail income this season is 4.5 million, and there is a retail stock cost of 2.6 million, which only puts our retail profits at around 1.5 million.
No, that's stock cost. That's holding stock. So that's not actually that doesn't. So the retail income 4.45, holding a couple of $1 million worth of stock. That's transient. So it constantly turns over.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's a okay. So it's a
That's
positive 2.6 of holding stock. Okay,
that's why you get one of these delivered as an international member, and Paddy gets a scarf.
Okay, so either way, then, leaving that aside, we have 4.5 million of retail income and 3.5 from last season.
Yeah.
So it didn't increase a lot, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not likely to increase by massive numbers. It'll get bigger, especially with some new deals coming up and stuff like that. We've had maybe a better situation this season with selling kits out there, even though we were slow to start. It wasn't as bad as the year before, so that might increase, but it's not ridiculously high. It's not a huge part of the revenue. But
it's not too bad. Well, it's 25%. Oh, sorry, 20%. My apologies, 20%.
That's fair. Yeah, it is 20%, so it's still decent. We do have a new club shop coming, so a mega store, if you want to call it that, for want of a better word, in the bottom of the Cop. Once that's built,
the key here with this is, Paddy, that's League Two numbers. I think,
yes.
This was the first year I had really good access, which was League One numbers. Apologies, that'll go away in a second. League One numbers, which means they will have a significant. I think it's like when we see it next year, that will probably nearly double. Okay. But the one that's interesting for me will be the year coming up, because new jersey sponsor, better international coverage and distribution should see that year, the projected 2 years from now, a significant jump.
Yeah. Yep. But definitely good numbers, and when you compare to other teams' revenue in general, it's way above. So again, nice and high on that one. Okay, next one we have there then is retail income. No, match day income. 5 million from match day income. What are you laughing at? Someone joking in the
or we're making fun of Ken.
Just my fun, yeah. It was lemon chicken and a sweet and sour.
Okay. I thought it was me they were laughing at.
No. We're messing with Ken.
Okay, so match day revenue 5 million.
Okay, I would expect. So this season, that like for the numbers we get next year, this time next year, that will be bigger. But
yes,
the following season, I would expect that to drop because we're losing a cop.
Yeah, we
won't have the temporary cop for a year, so that will be interesting to see how they try to make up for that, or if they do. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, so you're going to lose out on the cop, of course, which is decent numbers. We're going to have a solid 10,000. The teams we had this year, not all of them took their away allocation. So it'll be nearly full, but not absolutely full all season for this year.
Yeah.
And sorry, we're mixing up years now for next year because we've two accounting years.
Yeah. Exactly.
So okay, so the next accounting year it'll go up because of the cop.
Yeah.
And then the following year first in the championship. With the championship, it might balance out a little bit. There will be an increase in tickets, I would expect, cost in general, because it'll be the championship when we're there. And the away following then will likely be full, because these teams have many, many more fans. They have much more traveling away support. So likely they will be full.
That's a good question. What does the cop hold, the temporary cop?
Roughly 3,000.
Yeah,
so 3,000 out of 13 then. Back to 10,000.
22, 23%. So right. I mean, but what's going to offset that mostly is digital revenue, TV revenue.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing that and we haven't quite got there yet. But when we talk about where our revenues go, that's a
future revenues. Let's hit that
yeah
one after.
future
Yeah.
yeah. We'll save that because I've got some stuff on FFP questions in the championship also. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So match day was decent. Again, what, 20% ish? Yeah, of our revenue. US preseason we've already discussed, is on my list here. Okay, then we have some more expenses that came out. We have stadium maintenance / upgrade. Was 2.8 million. Decent, and apparently a good chunk of that was the temporary cop. And upgrading the temporary cop and stuff like that. So some of that is probably once-off payments for actually getting it installed or whatever. I know we had to level out the ground and stuff like that as well. Maybe that's counted as part of the maintenance and stuff like that. So a lot of that should be gone, and maybe it's only rental now for the actual seats. So we could have a nice chunk on that coming in the revenue we just mentioned, and the costs aren't ridiculous and are gone now as well. They're not likely to be repeated for the same things. We'll have different things to spend money on. So no issues with that really, with those expenses, or kind of a one-off really.
Yeah.
We'll find something else to maintain and upgrade
Yeah.
and what have you. Okay, next one then is the academy. I didn't see this directly in the accounts, but it was stated that the academy cost is down as 0.757 million, so 757,000 for the academy. That will go up next year, I expect, with building the actual academy. How much of that is balanced between wages for the academy, under the wages revenue, versus the other costs of running the academy? But yeah, we're likely going to see more than $1 million next year, I'm assuming, in there.
And that's part of the growth of the club.
Yeah.
Like the academy is an essential part of our infrastructure going forward, which is something that you look at as like an expense that, does get spread out over 10 years because it really is something that, is a long-term project.
Yeah. And with that, I would expect that there's a significant jump for this year's accounts. But then it should probably level off going forward, because it will be at the level pretty much they wanted to be at. Small increases or minor increases for that, until we start doing the training facility, which is going to be a couple of years away. So the next level of that. Okay, next one on my list here, and I'm nearly through the accounts. We have legal and professional, 5 million. So what's included in legal and professional?
Well, I'd assume you're going to have some of your some of that's going to be designs and stuff for the cop, new cop.
The original cop, yeah.
Yep, some of that's going to be involved. Also, when we do some of our marketing deals, we don't have a huge marketing department at the club, so they use Rob's and Ryan's two companies, so More Better and I can't remember what the other one was called, to sell some of those things. So they're kind of an in between. Yeah. So we pay them
maximum effort.
Maximum effort. Yes, that's the other one. So they use those to sell to make marketing agreements for us.
Yeah.
And
that to look at the contract.
Yeah, exactly. So they get paid for those types of contracts.
Yeah, and you have solicitors' fees and all that sort of general cost, drawing up all the plans, all of that, and as well they cover the solicitors' costs for transferring all the deeds, and they also support the running of the group that hold the deeds and stuff like that it's still active. So there's costs involved there that they cover on behalf of them. So that's at 5 million. Interesting that it was noted in the accounts with regards to that 5 million. You alluded to it there that there is a fee coming out there to the two boys' own companies. So they're taking a small percentage fee for managing some of the sponsorship deals. The other part of it that was mentioned then with that is welcome to Wrexham. So people have often asked how much money are we getting from welcome to Wrexham, and a lot of outside fans turn around and say, oh, but you're getting all that Disney money and you're making money from the documentary. Well, the amount that's actually been made from Welcome to Wrexham directly in payments is zero. Big fat duck egg, in case anyone doesn't know. There is no money being paid directly to the club for the players or for the using the club or the name or anything like that. In fact, we now know that there are some fees coming back in the other direction through the marketing and the sponsorship with the Welcome to Wrexham. However, it is, for some of this marketing and sponsorship, it is because of Welcome to Wrexham. Their names are out there, the kit is out there, the front of shirt sponsor, all of this. There are episodes where we did this season, we did the HP printers. There was an advert for HP printers. There was an episode where they've been used before, stuff like that.
Well, it just every time they take a flight anywhere, they show a picture of United Airlines, United Jet.
Well, the other thing to this, like I know the Welcome to Wrexham viewership grew 155%. So if you think of Welcome to Wrexham over here, and then you think of the club over here, and you go, just think of the club right now, and you go to United Airlines and you say, right, guys, we want you to pay $5 million in sponsorship for League 2 year, just to pick a number. I'm not saying that's a number. I'm just going to pick a number. $5 million League 2 sponsorship. And they go, League 2, we wouldn't pay $5 million to be a sponsor of a League 2 team, be on the jersey. Oh, yeah, but wait, you're going to get exposure on Welcome to Wrexham every show. And then they look at that and they go, well, if I have to pay advertising dollars on a TV show in America, that's going to cost me $2 million. And all of a sudden, my sponsorship of Wrexham United Football Club all of a sudden looks a lot more attractive.
Yeah. So what one feeds the other. And personally, I have no problem, or I'm not begrudging the boys earning money, because they also earn money for the Welcome to Wrexham. Welcome to Wrexham profits go to them. Their production companies make it. They take the profits from Disney for it. So they're doing well. The Wrexham is growing and potentially worth 40 million, 100 million, whatever it is at the moment. And they're taking money on the side. And Welcome to Wrexham is growing us. We're growing Welcome to Wrexham. It's a symbiotic relationship.
So we earn nothing from Welcome to Wrexham, but we get greater sponsorship that we would never get if Welcome to Wrexham didn't exist.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So that just leads then to, we mentioned it briefly, is the loss for the year is 2.7 in the accounts, which is relatively a small amount in general. No big deal there. Right.
You compare that to other clubs and it's minuscule. And it's part of our, and remember, we're in a growth phase. So we've taken a $2 million club to being, conservatively more than 50 million now.
Yeah. Do you want to, go, since we just mentioned the losses, do you want to bring up some of that? I know you had some stuff from Karen McGuire that showed some of the losses from other clubs. Do you want to bring that up now, or do you want to wait later to bring those up, Patty?
Maybe that's not a bad idea.
Showing what it means to have a $2.7 million loss.
Yeah. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of teams in the National League and even lower in the league system that are losing
that much,
$2 million a year,
incurring more losses than that.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild, actually.
So roughly over three years, it was 11 million loss over the multiple years that we had. Okay, so if you want to talk for 2 seconds, I'll pull some of these up.
Okay. Well, interestingly, when you talk about losses, Paddy, so I'll cover off a big one for you. Liverpool's figures were just announced, which is the biggest earner in the Prem. Losses before tax, 57 million. So even though they're turning over 600 million a year, they lost $57 million last year.
Okay, so answer me this: do you want to start with the big clubs? So I only have a few, so it's not too much. Do you want to start high and come back down?
No,
go
low.
Go
low.
Go
our way up. Start low and we'll head up.
Okay. Let's do that. So first up, then League One. Actually, they're all League One, so that's as low as it gets. Right, first up is Blackpool. Boom. Open. Okay, so Blackpool accounts have come out just a couple of days ago. Revenue for Blackpool, 12 million, down 40%. This is their first accounts when they have come back down to League One after being in the Championship. Wages, 10 million, down 28%. Operating loss, 7.3 million, up 80% from last season because they lost a load of their incomes. Player purchases 1.2, player sales 2.6. Total losses over all the years, they're holding 12 million in losses. Borrowings in the year, 5 million. Total owed to the owner at this time, 13.4 million. Okay. Blackpool. Next one. I have Wycombe here. Our little pals who are fighting to go back up. Wycombe Wanderers. Loss for the year, 3.8 million. Cash in bank, 1.3. Total losses over all their years, 13.6 million. Loans due to the parent, 7.2 at this moment. Okay, next one up. I have Wigan. Okay, let's see what Wigan have. Wigan revenue 9.2, down 42%. Wages 11.7, down 60%. Wages for every 100 of revenue. They are at 127% of their revenues.
Yeah.
Because obviously the wages are higher than their revenue. That is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. But interesting, they reduced their losses. So that's a good thing for them, but still not. I mean, the numbers still aren't great, but keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is their revenue had dropped 42%.
That's
year
why
over year.
crippled
That's
them.
a problem. That's a problem.
Okay. Loans from Mike Danson in this year, 9.9 million. He covered it. He covered those losses. Total owed to him at this time, 15.6 million.
So yeah, well, it's like what I'm reading here is how to make 5 million in a football club. Start with 10 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's see who I have left. I didn't bring up Cambridge yet, no?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, Cambridge is next. Cambridge revenue 8.3 million. Wages 6.3. Underlying loss 2.6. Share issues 3 million. Okay. Now, just so people don't forget, this is League One teams. And the stats we were just talking about for ourselves were League Two last year.
Yes. So
That's
where Cambridge's revenue was 8.3 million in League One, ours was 26 million.
6.7. Yeah. Okay. What else do I have here? Let's see. Next one up. Okay, I don't actually have any championship. I'm going to jump up even higher. Fulham. Okay. Revenue 182 million. This is the lower end of the Prem. Wages 155 million. Amortization 57 million on their players. Player sales 44. Total investment by the owner 863 million. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Nuts. And I've one more.
See, this is what's interesting. It's funny. He's got it like he also owns the Jacksonville Jaguars in the NFL. Okay. And so anybody that pays attention to the NFL, they are money-making machines. Okay. You don't lose money in the NFL.
No, you don't.
These NFL teams are making money hand over fist.
And it doesn't matter which one they are.
It's funny. He's got to just be like, how is this sustainable? Looking at the two, just as a guy that owns both, looking at the two, thinking, how is this sustainable when I'm spending this much money on this and making nothing, and
Okay.
I'm making a hand over fist over here. It's interesting. It's really interesting.
How did they ever get involved in buying it in the first place? Who told them that this was a good idea?
Well, what you got to, I guess, when you look at it, and to Aaron's point, like, you own, if you are one of the ultra rich that can afford to buy things like this, if you ever do get the opportunity to acquire an NFL club, then you are just guaranteed to print money. Same with an NBA club or a baseball team.
Mm.
So, and then you look at it, and then these guys, they think globally. They think, well, if I go and buy a Premier League team, and yes, it's losing money now, but if we can turn the structure of it around to something similar that the NFL has, I will then own two money-making machines. Now, you're obviously betting on the fact that you can do that, but if you can't turn it around, one offsets the other right now. So they probably go, well, it's okay. And if it really all goes belly up, I'll just sell the football team and I'll sell Fulham.
Yeah. Was that was Bournemouth, wasn't it? Or was Fulham?
No, that was Fulham.
That was Fulham. Okay, so that was their first year. Now we have Bournemouth, and then I'm done with these ones. So Bournemouth, revenue 170 million, which is actually really low, considering most of that is actually just TV money. So they're not earning a hell of a lot extra. Wages 136. Underlying loss 55 million. Player purchases 141. Player sales 2 million. Ouch.
Yeah.
Total cost of their squad 382 million. Borrowings 123 million.
Yeah. And
nuts.
Well, while you're there, Paddy, I'll bring up the Liverpool numbers. So we'll get those up on
real quick on Bournemouth before you do, Ken. Bournemouth, the thing to remember on Bournemouth is they're one of the smaller teams in the Prim. They have the capacity of their stadium is only 11,307. Okay, so they are not a massive club. Yeah. They're a smaller club that has gotten to where they are by gotten through the championship by selling players, really becoming a factory of just, we're developing these young players and then we're selling them off to Man United or Bayern Munich or whoever, all the big clubs around the world that are looking for these young players, and that's how they're funding their rise into the Premier League. So it's interesting how they've been able to do what they've been able to do.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Ken, just before you do, I have one more image that's separate from this, if you don't mind. Which would be really cool.
I just figured you were on those clubs, so I forgot to show them.
No, this little one here before we hit the prem. So this one here is an article that came up recently, may or may not happen, in The Guardian. A US consortium led by Fubo TV founder David Gandler is in advanced talks about buying 70% of Leyton Orient, who are in our league this year, for around 18 million. He has ambitious plans for a new multi-sport stadium and possible American football franchise in East London. So I just thought that.
The NFL goes to London every year now.
Yeah. So
I mean, absolutely.
Look, people are trying different things. So that's interesting. Cool. I'm done. It's all yours.
Okay. So then we go to the big dogs of the Prem, obviously. So and we so where's that article, Paddy, to remove it? I'm just got it.
Good.
Okay. And then when we look at Liverpool, so interestingly enough here, if you look at overall revenue, which is rose by 20 million to $614 million in revenue last year, which is the second bottom line there. It's interesting the order they put this in, but that's the second bottom line there. And then we go through everything. So media revenue fell by 38 million to $204 million in revenue from the media. Match day revenue, 102 million. Remembering our revenue was 5 million. So match day revenue rose 22 million to 102 million. Is their stadium a little bit bigger than ours?
A little bit.
Commercial revenue. So then you think of commercial sponsorships. Their revenue rose 36 million to 308 million pound. Administrative costs rose by 38 million to $600 million in administrative costs. Now, that I would love to break down that number. That is crazy. That is nearly the entire overall revenue number. The overall revenue was 614, and the administrative costs are 600 million. Like, that's just.
How do you get yourself in that sort of situation?
Yeah. And I mean, and look, their losses before tax, $57 million in losses for last year. So that just gives you an idea of, and I'm not saying Wrexham will never be Liverpool, because just geographically it's not possible, just because of the size of the cities.
Yeah. The one thing I will say here, which is a little bit of a caveat there, is it really depends on your owners. A lot of the time when you see these really big clubs, sometimes it's accounting tomfoolery, where the club looks like it's making a loss, but the owners are sucking out all of the cash into separate businesses, separate corporations, and other manners in order to get the money out. And obviously, the simple answer to this is, who does that? The Glazers.
Yes.
They have been sucking out revenues and interest on loans and everything that they can, given money on their shares, all sorts of stuff. They're just soaking it out and using loans. $1 billion now, I believe, that they're in debt in loans. On the understanding that if they did actually sell the club, they could probably wipe out they will wipe out all the loans, or transfer them to someone else or whatever, and then just walk away with all the profit they've got. So this is a problem that is probably on a smaller scale in a lot of these companies. Now, I did earlier say the little caveat, I have no problem with Rob and Ryan taking, small shares and money out of the club here and there for some of the smaller companies. If you were to ramp that up and do it for everything, you could absolutely put as much debt on a company as you want. And this is unfortunately what a lot of these owners are doing. And this is probably why people see value in them, because there is value there. I don't believe for a second Liverpool is not making money or not capable of making money if you wanted to, but they don't want profits. They don't want taxes on it. It's probably a tax thing as well, tax avoidance. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But at the lower levels, clubs are very much in danger of going broke, because you get it wrong in a season, you have a horrible season after investing too much money, you're not in a good situation.
Well, that comes down to your ownership then, and how much money they have.
Absolutely, it does.
Run on with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we've covered some deep stuff there today. Have you got anything else you really want to cover off here today, Paddy?
One thing I did want to get to was the it's been talked about a lot, is profit sustainability rules in the championship, and we can talk about what we think we might make when we get to the championship, what kind of revenues we could be looking at.
Yeah,
that was something I wanted to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that's been talked about a lot is people talk about us and they'll say, well, just wait till they'll fail their FFP or profit and sustainability stuff when they get in the championship. And actually that's not true by a long shot, because we are making so much money. So the way the championship does their FFP, let me just read through this real quick. In the FL Championship, clubs follow profit and sustainability (P&S) rules, which are the final financial fair play regulations, limiting losses over a rolling 3-year period with a temporary increase to 41.5 million. That means over a rolling 3-year period, you are allowed to lose $41.5 million. Okay. we've lost over the last 3 years. What was it at 11, Patty?
3 years we have lost
Yeah.
11. Yeah.
Yeah. It's roughly 11.
Okay. So not that we would do it, but we are allowed to lose, another, 30 million nearly, if we wanted to, and just throw all that on wages, all that on player wages. And there's some caveats to that. I think there's certain things that actually don't count towards your PNS. I don't have all that here.
Yeah.
Certain stuff you do with your stadium and things like that, you don't necessarily have to count towards your PNS stuff. But it's anybody that says we're going to have trouble with FFP has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, there's already some questions in the chat there about is it 40 million per year? No, it's across a rolling 3 years.
Rolling 3-year period.
So because we're coming up with low losses over the last 2 years, basically almost all of it we can use in year 3.
Remember, CapEx expenditure is excluded from that. So things like building the comp next year,
they're not going to have an issue. Yeah,
exactly.
So the issue would be, as you said, if you put all that money in and didn't go up to the Prem, you would then be in a situation that the years would roll, and now you would only have 2 or 3 million the next year to keep yourself balanced. So it's roughly 46 million over 3 years. So a 15 million loss each year.
There is no salary cap in the championship.
Yeah. In any league.
It's just about how much you can spend
losses.
As far as your losses go.
Yeah.
Does that mean next year when we're in the championship, Josh can afford to pay the 3 of us whatever?
Can he afford to, or will he? These are different questions.
Sorry, different question. You're right. Yep.
He's
I hear he's going to increase our salaries by 500% next year.
I'm down. I'm down. I'm ready to sign that contract.
Yeah. Well, 500% of zero.
Yeah.
We're doing it for the love, people. We're doing it for the love. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Share it out there while we're at it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of teams there that we showed some of them. Their wages versus their revenues are 70%, 80%, 90%. They're basically spending everything into the wages of the club, which is a bit crazy. We are currently on about 40% of our revenues versus our wages, which is a great percentage to be at. Now, it will go up probably this year, and the next year it'll go up as well. But we also have a lot of headroom there because we expect our revenues to grow quite significantly as well. So that alone, just the fact we have much higher revenues is going to allow a much higher potential wage bill without giving us any real issues or headache in it.
So if you assume that our revenues don't grow outside of anything else. So let's say our revenue next year or this season is the exact same as it was last season. Okay, that's 26 points. We all know that's not going to be the case. It will go up, but let's just say it didn't go up. Okay, we're at 26 now. If we got promoted to the championship, the TV revenue is somewhere in the ballpark of 8 million. So you immediately can add 8 million to whatever it is that our revenue is. Okay, so then it goes up.
Yeah.
So if it goes up at all, I mean, let's say it goes from 26 to 30, which is a very small increase, and I think it'll go up a lot more than that. You're looking at, 38 million, pushing 40 million. It could be even higher than that. It wouldn't be outrageous to say when we get into the championship, our revenues could be somewhere in the $50 million range or pound range.
Pound range. Yeah.
It's wild to think about, but it's not outrageous.
It's not outrageous with the numbers that we just saw.
No, with the numbers we saw from League Two. I mean, those numbers are only going to get higher, and then you throw in the added TV revenue, and it just keeps going up. And see, that is yes, Geraint's got a point there. There is a
it's due to go to 12 and a half if
is,
accepted. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. It is all like,
Yeah.
the numbers for this football club are exceptionally good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even hear the vernacular, the story that's being told now. People are changing their tune over the last couple of years. From they were really nervous about when they sell the club, when they do this, are they just going to wreck our football club? To now, can't believe we're in League One. Can't believe we could get to the Championship.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff that's been done around the town. They've not only invested in the club, they've bought Wrexham Lager. They've invested in the area. There's all these things have happened just to help grow the community. Because I think from memory, Welsh Ticker, you might be able to comment on this. The population of Wrexham, I think, is like 140,000. So it's tiny. When you think about it compared to bigger cities, and you go, well, what? Because people talk about that with the stadium. They go, well, what size stadium do we want? Well, that's a whole nother story and a whole nother thing. But in terms of revenue and money being earned, doing an amazing job.
Yeah. So you mentioned sustainability there, which is something to note. We've shown how bad other clubs are with their loans and sustainability, profits and losses and all of this, right? Let's just consider that for a moment. Let's just say, for sustainability purposes, we want to have nearly an even situation. No losses, maybe no profits, because we're still trying to grow a championship squad, right? We just mentioned there having potentially 50 million revenue going into a championship season, including some TV rights, stuff like that. And we're showing that our wages should be in the region of 50%, let's say, if we want to be very sustainable about this and not go crazy. So let's think about that for a moment. That's 25 million. Let's have a look at the numbers that Capology is telling us we are spending / maybe spending next year on wages. So I'll bring my same graphic back up again, which is this one. Okay. So this is slide 2, which is League One. So this is what you were seeing earlier. Currently this season, Capology believes we are spending about 10.5-ish million, or 10.9 actually, I remember the figure, on our wages for the squad in League One. Next season, obviously, we expect that to go up. And if we're guessing here that we have revenues of in the region of 50 million, and we want to be spending no more than 25 on a squad at a ridiculously high number, but 50% of what we have, look where that puts us then in next year. Boom. Oh, wrong way. Sorry. Slide 3. There we go. So the black line I have put in there is 15 million. So at a 15 million wage expenditure on our squad, on the bottom here, up to BBR in blue, that's all the bottom half of the championship. Yep. Now, if we go up to the top level and we keep going, we get to 25 million. Fourth place. And who's going to be above us in that scenario? The 3 teams that are coming down from the Prem with parachute payments are going to have ridiculous money available to them and huge squads. Now, again, we're guessing at figures, and I'm not saying we will be paying 25 million in year 1 in championship to our players, but if we're paying 15-ish million, that's comparable to over half of the championship. Now, maybe some people say our squad isn't good enough if we're paying 11 now and you're only increasing it to 15 next year. Okay, well, if we increase it to 20, then we should comfortably be clearing out half of the championship. In theory.
Mid-table.
In theory.
On wages, not on results.
So the idea of, they're going to come straight back down. It's going to be ridiculously hard to stay in the championship. We've heard that every single league. Oh, you're going to get found out in League Two. It's ridiculous. In League One, we had the Peterborough boys saying, "Oh, give us the ball, and we're going to give you a welcome to League One. We're going to play rings around you and score 5 goals on you." That didn't happen.
Don't start me on those guys, Paddy. Seriously.
So
the last bloody podcast, we're going to win the rest of the season, and then they go and lose their next match.
Yeah. So look, no one knows where we'll end up in the championship, obviously. But all of this being said, it looks very realistic that we could achieve a comfortable mid-table with our revenues and abilities and the payments that we have available to us.
Patrick, just for Patrick there, we will never have the highest squad spend in the championship because you always get the teams coming down from the Prem with the parachute payments. Yes, we could have a very high level, but not the highest.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Now, the only caveat to that, and I do agree with your sentiment, is if the revenues go ridiculous, like if they are much higher than we've even speculated here, if things go well, who knows what'll happen with 1 year in the championship?
They'd have to go unbelievable because those teams are coming down. I think their first parachute payment, I think, is in the $80 million ballpark or 70 million, something like that. So, and that's outside of any other revenue. That's outside of, tickets and, kit sales and all that. That's just, they get 80 million from the Premier League when they go down, period. Boom.
That's true, but I am talking about 2-3 years in the championship, and if you look here, they're still saying that Leeds is only 35 million.
Yeah, Patrick's asking that question there, isn't? Yes, it is 35 million.
The highest is 35 million, even with Leeds coming down with 100 million.
Or
80 million or whatever it is, parachute payments. So
to clarify it for Patrick, the 80 million parachute payment doesn't mean they spend it all on wages.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But interestingly, it'll be interesting to see what we spend our money on if we start hitting 50 or 60 million in revenues coming in each season and don't have the debts and don't have all the other issues and problems that the other clubs do. I think
it's going to be spent on free tickets for overseas fans with first-class United Airlines tickets for overseas fans and their families, including their kids who are future Wrexham stars.
Yeah.
Aaron's deep in thought there. Look at it. He's just.
I'm reading through the chat. Just reading.
Yeah.
So no,
but yeah,
great numbers. Great numbers.
Absolutely. If we end up 3 years in championship, the expectation I have is every season we're climbing the table. Every season our team is getting better, the squad is getting stronger, players are swapped out for relatively small increases, a couple of million here, a couple of million there, and the team is better, and we're climbing that table.
Well, here's a question for you boys. Okay, so let's play the glass half full. We're going up. My realistic is in our 3rd year in the championship, we could be challenging to go up. What do you boys think?
After looking at these figures, I'm starting to think yes. I think by year 3, we would at least be looking for playoff chance. Yeah.
Yep, I think so.
Maybe year 2.
Maybe.
Well, that's just it. Like, I'm the optimist guy, and in the back of my mind, I'm going, yeah, could do it maybe in year 2, but I think, do I really want to say that?
No, look, I originally was saying anything above relegation for year 1 until these numbers came out. I was. Don't care anything above relegation. Stay in there the first year and gain more revenue because we are actually generating profits and revenue in general. And do it again, increase your team. But looking at those numbers, I think a realistic expectation is middle table, year 1, aim for a playoff shot, year 2. Maybe we get in there and have a shot. Maybe we just miss out. Year 3, the expectation should be a playoff spot.
Excited already. I'm excited already.
I just want to see the teams next year. I'm really excited about the teams we'll be playing next season if we're in the championship. I
If
really
we're in
am.
the championship, yeah.
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 Did I say it?
Yeah.
Did I just say if?
Yeah.
Or did you say
said
if?
if? You said if. You said if.
How on earth
I
did
was
When, Paddy, when?
Yeah, I need
so.
that was a
No,
brain
no.
freeze
Look,
there.
And that's a fair comment, Paddy.
I'm no longer saying if. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, when do we? Hey, when do we start doing this?
Well, I'll
When
tell
can
you,
we start doing that?
we start doing that immediately after we get the third one.
After we get the third one.
Oh,
After we
absolutely.
get the third one,
Yeah.
we start doing this. Right
Well,
there.
Yeah.
it is definitely. Everybody is in the believe phase now because
Absolutely.
we're there. We just, we're that close to the end of the season. It's going to happen quickly. We've got a midweek game this week. We've got a weekend game. Before you know it, we're down to 5 games to go. It starts to become very clear whether it's a squeaky bum time or, I mean, look, it can only go one of two ways. It can continue to be squeaky bum time, getting close to the end of the season, or we pull away because it even with a loss and another loss, we're still there. It just means that it goes in the other direction and we can become favourites. So I just think, we just got to keep winning.
Yep.
Going to be a fun end of the season, guys.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm telling you, Aaron, do you get more excited about the actual season or the off season? Because I know the off season really gets you.
I love the off season. I get excited. Oh, I love the season. I love doing the season. It's just I get so nervous right now. But I'm not gonna lie, I've already started. I've already started.
Yes.
I've already started looking at players for next season. In both eventualities. If we go up or if we stay down, I'm already.
I have not done
looking.
that.
I'm already looking.
I have not started yet.
Already.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely put some extra oomph in the off season players because now it's just championship and Prem, guys.
Well, you start having to look at more overseas players, like you do, because the talent pool to pick from gets so much smaller if you stay in the UK.
Yeah, our recruiting is going to have to improve by leaps and bounds. In the championship, you start looking at championship squads, and they've got a lot of those squads have international players from, that are in the international team for those countries. So you've got German internationals, you've got, French internationals, you've got, you name it, any country or U.S. internationals. There's a bunch of U.S. internationals in the championship. Me and Patty were talking about that. How long before Wrexham gets their first U.S. international in the team?
Well, and what a marketing opportunity that is.
Yeah, especially with the World Cup in 2026 in the United States.
United States never heard of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did. Me and Patty did a deep dive on that the other day. I was going through U.S. national team players that could possibly play for Wrexham in the championship.
Yeah. Oh. Esteban, you don't get that yet.
Can't do it yet. You gotta wait. We gotta go up first. You gotta go up first.
Nice try.
Gotta go up first.
Yeah. But no, I mean, look, and it was funny because I was watching a World Cup qualifier last week with Australia playing China, and Josh said to me, "I was such and such playing from another squad in League One." I said, "Mate, he's not even close enough to making our national team. We got players in Bayern Munich, we got players in the Prem, we got players this is just it globally." All these countries have players that play Bundesliga, play in the Prem, play in all these great leagues all across the world. And we can go shopping, as Wrexham as a club, we'll start going shopping for those types of players. And players will want to come and play there because the championship is a highly sought after league to get to play in from international players. If they can't make that top tier in other countries, that's the league you want to be in.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, well, boys, I think we what hour and 34 minutes. That just flew by.
That's good. That's a good show. That's fun.
Paddy, great work, Paddy. Some great work on all your stats and everything there. Really fantastic. Very impressed. And Aaron, I mean, I think we're all getting excited. Can't wait for this all to happen. What's the plan now, boys? I think we got game in 2 days' time.
Yeah, Tuesday game, Saturday game.
Yep. So
maybe we'll have a Friday show. Maybe. Yeah, we've done two Friday shows the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you'll get a daily update show tomorrow from Josh. So I think that's going to be the next protocol. And then the following day, you'll get the full suite. Game day build-up, watch along, extra time, as well as Wrexham reaction. So, well, actually, Aaron, why don't you take us out today?
Real quick, I'm gonna give Esteban, because I like him so much. Give Esteban a little treat, okay, to look into, see what he thinks. All right. Aiden Morris. Look up Aiden Morris, Esteban, and tell me what you think about him. Okay, so hey, I love it. This was a great show. This is fun. We love to do deep dives. Guys, me and Patty and Ken, we do this stuff offline all the time. We just sit there and we go through stuff and we have all kinds of fun. And this is, there you go. He's got they got good. Welsh Techie sent me a thing. Wait a minute. I have it. Aha. This is from Welsh Techie. He sent me this a couple years ago. There you go. I got one too.
Well, take us out, Aaron.
All right, guys. Hey, on that bombshell, great show. We'll see everybody later.
Bye, guys.